Welcome back to Journalism 102. Today we have a brief lecture on using your smartphone to take still photos. So for your final project, in addition to the video element and the text element that you create, you're also going to take a still photo. I'm assuming most of you will use your smartphone, but of course feel free to use the best camera that you have available. It does not have to be with your smartphone. However, you will likely be using your smartphone when you do your social media assignment, your Storify assignment. So that's why we're really focusing on the smartphone and how to use it to take still photos. So the first thing you want to do is go into the settings of your smartphone and try to set the image quality to the highest setting possible and the image size to the best or largest size possible. Why? Because you want to maximize the capability of your phone for taking these photos. If you're using something a little bit higher end than a smartphone, you would want to do the same thing. So we want to get the best quality raw material that we can. We can always resize and decrease image quality for the situation. So if we're posting to the web, we're likely going to resize that photo. But you want to start with the best quality and the largest size possible. Secondly, this is something we've been talking about when we talk about video. It's certainly relevant to photos as well. And that is figuring out where the light source is. So here's a very dramatic example of why you don't want to take a picture with a bright window in the background and no light in the room. So in this situation, you're going to get this very dark picture with no facial features observable. One thing that you might want to do when you're out in the field is if you have flash on your smartphone or flash on your camera, is use the flash, try a photo with flash and without, so that you have some options. Now the flash might not be enough to throw enough light on his face to make it usable, but it might work really well. So if you took it with the flash and without, you would have those options. Move in close. So, if you're getting a picture of a child's face, make that picture as full frame as possible. So you want to get close to your subject. You want to make it easy for us to see what the focus of your photo is. In this situation, you might have even been able to get a little bit closer, but then you would lose the birthday cake. And so to tell the story of what's happening here, you need that cake in the frame. But you want to try to eliminate as much extraneous information as possible and really focus in on the face of the person, or as tightly as possible, and still communicate what's happening. Rule of thirds. So obviously we've talked about rule of thirds before. It's very relevant as it relates to photographs. So you want to frame your subject with either the right or the left third of the frame, not dead center. It adds a lot more visual interest. And especially if it's a face, you want to keep in mind looking room. So you want the open area to be off the end of that person's nose. You want to be able to see both of their eyes. So they can be angled but not in profile. Not dead center, off to the right or the left. If you're going to go screen left, remember the looking room would come this way. So the most space needs to be off the end of that person's nose. That's going to be regardless of what kind of camera you're shooting with. The rule of thirds applies. Minimize movement. So we talked about with video, this is important. It's also important with still photos. The more shake you have with a little camera trying to take a still photo, the less crisp and clear that photo will be. So you want to hold the camera steady. Use a tripod if you have one, or create one with your body. See how this woman has her elbows in tucked close to the sides of her body. She's holding that camera in both hands, and she's keeping it close into her body to minimize the shake that might come if she held her arms extended. The content management system that we're going to use for publishing your stories really requires those photos to be shot horizontally, just like we do with video. So keep in mind that you want to shoot holding the camera horizontally, not vertically. And that's for your still photos as well as for your video. So you're going to use these tips for shooting your social media photos in the assignment that's due this week. And you will also be shooting photos for your final project. In addition to the text, the links, the video, etc., you're going to shoot a photo and write a caption for it. So be sure to familiarize yourself with the handout that's posted under content on caption writing, because you will be asked to write one.